Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kiran. So I'll start with this. A few weeks back, the word life review started flashing in my head, and I intuitively knew that it was time to do one. Now, when I was done with my life review, and I know this might sound dramatic, but I literally felt I was reborn in this life. Like the past version of me faded away and a new version of me came online. And part of the reason is that this life review, it fundamentally altered my relationship with two things that held me back most in life: fear and perfectionism. Like these two went from this to this. Now, life review is something that you do when you die, but here I am rebirthing and reinventing myself without dying. And in this video, I'll share how you can do the same. Now, if you pick up any book on spirituality, two things that you will find in almost all books. Number one, it will say that you are a consciousness having a human experience. And number two, almost all books will say that the main purpose of your life, your incarnation, is growth, as in your soul's growth. And yet, most of us don't think of ourselves as soul. If I were to ask you, hey, who are you? You might say, I'm man, woman, husband, wife, mother, father, brother, sister, based on your gender. Or perhaps you might tell me what you do for your job and your living. Like in our day-to-day life, we never go beyond these labels. Now, around the time I started meditation, I came across a teaching by Ramtha, and I'll put a link to this teaching in the description below. In this teaching, Ramtha talks about something called a life review. Now, if you're not familiar with this concept of life review, then in essence, it says that when you die and leave this plane, the first thing that you do is that you review your life, just like you would review a book, a movie, or your latest iPhone. And when you review your life, you look at what are the things you did and didn't do. People that betrayed you and those that you betrayed. Harm that was inflicted upon you and that which you inflicted on others. In this teaching that Ramtha gave, he said, in this life review, it's like every single experience of your life is played out in 360 degrees. And you watch it both as an observer and a participant, both as the doer and the done to. Now, in some scriptures, life review is also called the judgment day, because everything that you have done in your life is known and seen. And it's not that someone sitting on a throne is judging you, but you are the one who is judging yourself. Now, when I first came across this teaching, I thought it was fascinating, as in a new way to look at life after death. And beyond that, I didn't think much of it. Now, I have studied with many different teachers, and almost all of them at some point talked about this concept of life review. Like one of my teachers used to say, that pressure you feel in your heart, that nudge to do something, to ask for forgiveness, to heal relationship, that's your soul talking to you. Maybe your soul is asking you to move to a new city or a new country or to get a master's degree. And why is it doing all those things? Because maybe those are the experiences you need in this life to evolve your soul. Now, the traps of being born on this planet are many. It is so easy to get stuck in addiction or base desires and even survival, that even thinking about soul, that you are a soul, seems like a far-fetched idea. And perhaps herein lies why we reincarnate. Because if you look at Earth like a school, the only way you get to say grade 6 is if you pass grade 5. And if you don't learn your lessons, you get to repeat grade 5 all over again. In other words, you get to come back as a little baby and do it all over again. And so, when you look at your life through the lens of your soul, and that your main job is growth, is to evolve your soul, then when you do life review, you are in essence taking note of how closely did you follow your soul's mandate. Did you finish your unfinished business or not? Did you learn your life lessons, or did you forget all about them? And this brings me to the intention of this video, how to reinvent yourself with life review, a secret that almost all yogis know. Now, the day I had an intuitive nudge to do my life review, I knew what it meant. So I took out my journal, went and sat on my favorite chair, and I asked myself a series of questions. The very first question I asked myself is that if today was the last day of my life, would I be at peace? And as I reflected on my life so far and the choices I made and didn't make, I made a list of things like things I pursued, things I regretted, things that made me feel that I was on cloud nine, things I was super grateful for. So you get the drift. Now, it took me about few hours to complete this life review, and when I was done, what stood out to me the most was that if today was the last day of my life, I would have two regrets. Number one, not buying an investment property when I had an opportunity, and number two, being really hard on myself. Now, up until this point, I had no idea how much these two regrets weighed heavy on my soul. And once I got really present to them, I said to myself, okay, I see where I faltered, but let's pay attention to what mindset got me stuck in the first place. And what came up was fear and perfectionism. Like I've shared multiple times in my videos how much I was held back by fear. It's no surprise that even my first book is of the title, Overcoming Fear and Failure, because these are the very things that I struggled most with. Now, doing this exercise was life-changing in and of itself. Like now, I don't look at fear in the same way. It doesn't mean I don't feel fear, I still do, but I'm not stopped by it the way I was before. So as an example, most recently I had to commit to a project that felt scary. At first I wanted to back out, and then I remembered my life review and I asked myself, do I want to regret not doing this project? So imagine someone being held back by fear all their life, and then all of a sudden they are not. Like that alone would alter the trajectory of their life, right? And so doing this exercise felt as if I was rebirthing and reinventing myself without dying and letting go of the past baggage. Now, if this information has resonated with you, then I will ask you to consider doing a similar exercise where you start with the most basic question, that if today was the last day of your life, would you be at peace? Or would you have any regrets? And then exploring the next most important question, what mindset got you stuck in the first place, and what must you change in yourself to evolve your soul in this life? So in the description below, I've put a link to a worksheet that you can use as a template to do this life review. So feel free to download it. Now, doing this exercise can take anywhere from few hours to few days or even weeks. However it unfolds for you, just honor that process. Because once you are done with this exercise and you really get present to your limiting beliefs, that will give you the courage and the strength to change yourself from the inside out. And in that process, you will reinvent yourself easily and effortlessly. I hope the suggestions in this video are helpful. As always, please only take what resonates, discard the rest. Thank you so much for your time today. I will see you next Tuesday in a new video. And until then, have a beautiful rest of the week.